you're protecting the world's foremost. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest, largest scale in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. What the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the are.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI. That's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
You remember when Kash Patel said the Epstein files were going to blow everything wide open?
I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past and how we are going to countermand missing children and exploited children going forward.
That he'd finally exposed the people who protected one of the worst predators in modern history. He had the power. He had the access. He was handed the FBI.
And the faith and trust he has put in me to lead the FBI.
Everyone thought, okay, now it's happening. But nothing happened. No client list, no charges, just a quiet memo from the DOJ saying there's nothing to see. And guess who signed off on it? Kash Patel. Turns out, while we were waiting for truth and justice, he was helping bury it.
You know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
FBI agents were literally told to flag any mention of Donald Trump.
President Trump was told by the Attorney General that he is in the Jeffrey Epstein files. He was told he was in the files 2 months ago, and then last week said, no, he wasn't.
They spent weeks combing through 100,000 records, not to expose the truth, but to manage the fallout. And when the backlash hit, when people started asking where the files were, Patel didn't fight back. He didn't speak up. He backed the system. He defended the same institutions he used to call corrupt. The guy who promised to burn it all down just became another gatekeeper. Kash Patel was marketed as the man who'd exposed the deep state.
They, the deep state, projected on us that we were the neocons, we were the conspiracy theorists because we dared to call them the deep state.
A former federal prosecutor turned political insider, he gained national attention during the Russia investigation as Devin Nunes' right-hand man. He helped craft the infamous Nunes memo, aimed at discrediting the FBI's surveillance of Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Trump brought him into the National Security Council and later the Pentagon. With that access, Patel built his brand on promises. He'd declassify Clinton's emails, expose Pfizer abuses, and reveal the Epstein files. He said the public deserved the truth, and he would deliver it. But when Trump was in power and Patel held senior roles in national security and the DOJ, nothing happened. No declassified Epstein files, no bombshell disclosures. Just a book deal, conservative media hits, and 2 pro-Trump children's books. Even worse, in 2024, Trump returned briefly before Biden's re-election. Patel was confirmed FBI director.
Discharge the duties of the office of Return South.
So help me God.
So help me God.
This was his moment. Still, no list, no transparency, just sealed memos and political theater. Patel didn't just stay silent. He defended the very DOJ leadership he once attacked. The same FBI that had Epstein's evidence since 2019, under Trump's own appointee, Christopher Wray, went untouched. And Patel, he backed them.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
The FBI has had the Epstein evidence for years. Flight logs, videos, digital records, and the Black Book. In 2019, under Trump's DOJ, they raided Epstein's homes and seized what they called a mountain of evidence. Then Epstein died in jail. Officially a suicide.
They took him to New York's downtown hospital. He was in cardiac arrest, and he was pronounced there. It appeared that he had hung himself.
Madil surrounded by questions. After that, silence. In 2024, Trump returns. Patel becomes FBI director. The base expects action. Instead, the DOJ, under Attorney General Pam Bondi, launches a quiet internal review.
I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed.
Not to release evidence, but to flag any mention of Trump. Whistleblowers told Senator Dick Durbin the FBI was ordered to identify every document with Trump's name. Over 100,000 records were combed through. But the final memo didn't drop until June. And it said, no further charges are warranted. No incriminating client list was found. No names. No accountability. Just another vague dismissal of one of the biggest sex trafficking conspiracies in US history. Meanwhile, conservative influencers were handed glossy binders labeled The Epstein Files Phase 1. PR, not justice. When the Wall Street Journal revealed a birthday letter from Trump to Epstein hinting at shared secrets, Trump sued them for $10 billion. And Kash Patel, he dismissed conspiracy theories as never true. A stunning reversal from the man who once pointed to Epstein as proof of deep state rot. Let's be honest. If it were anyone else's name in those files, there would have been leaks, hearings, and arrests. But because it was Trump, everything got buried. And under Patel's leadership, the FBI helped keep it that way. While House Republicans tweet and posture, they've refused to demand hearings or force the DOJ's hand.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Kash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
For years, he positioned himself as the guy on the inside who had the truth but couldn't reveal it yet. He framed himself as a lone warrior navigating a corrupt system, just waiting for the right moment to strike. On talk shows, podcasts, and in his book Government Gangsters, Patel promised that accountability was coming and that he was the one who would deliver it. That identity was central to his appeal. He didn't present himself as part of the establishment. He was the hammer coming for the establishment. But when he finally got the power to act, the character he played for years fell apart. Rather than challenge institutional secrecy, Patel helped manage it.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
When public pressure mounted around the Epstein investigation, he didn't offer clarity.
Another day has passed.
Well, actually, it was the night before the hearing.
Now that another day has passed, do you believe that it's now time potentially for the FBI to open an investigation into this?
I'm not going to comment on that.
He signed off on the strategy to contain it. The FBI, under his leadership, directed resources toward internal political damage control. Not justice, not exposure, not truth. And when contradictions emerged, when previous statements by officials like Attorney General Pam Bondi didn't match the final outcome, Patel didn't explain or investigate. He echoed the government's conclusion and brushed off criticism. No transparency, no accountability, no trace of the figure he once claimed to be. Instead of speaking out, he defended the narrative. Instead of dissent, he delivered spin. And when public frustration boiled over, his response was a complete reversal of everything he once stood for. The conspiracy theories just aren't true, never have been. It was a stunning shift, not just in policy, but in identity. The man who built a following by questioning official stories was now enforcing them. That shift didn't go unnoticed. Many in his own camp, influencers, commentators, and loyal supporters saw it for what it was. Not hesitation, not compromise, but betrayal. The persona of the fearless truth-teller collapsed the moment he became the one protecting the gate. And when outside evidence did surface, like the Wall Street Journal revealing a personal letter from Trump to Epstein with the phrase, "May every day be another wonderful secret. The response wasn't clarity, it was litigation. The public got lawsuits, not answers. The Epstein case was never limited to one man. It exposed how influence and protection work when the stakes are high and the names are powerful. Despite the scale of the operation, the decades it spanned, and the global list of associates, only one person was sentenced, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell, a former girlfriend and longtime associate of the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, was arrested this morning in New Hampshire. Maxwell is facing 6 federal charges, including conspiracy to transport minors with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity and perjury.
Epstein died in custody, and the rest of the story was sealed behind classified records and legal red tape. The materials collected by investigators weren't theoretical. They existed. Logs, digital archives, private messages, testimonies, surveillance data. All of it was processed behind closed doors. When a conclusion was finally released, the official line from the Justice Department was clear and dismissive. No charges, no list, no further investigation needed. But that conclusion raises its own questions. If there was truly nothing to hide, why did the FBI assign such a large team to scan records for one political name? Why was a filtering system needed if the files contained nothing of interest? Public expectations weren't complicated. People asked for transparency. Instead, they received a staged document release filled with information already available to anyone paying attention. The rest, hundreds of gigabytes of primary material, was never addressed. The individuals in charge offered no update, no explanation, and no willingness to answer what had happened. This wasn't about a legal hurdle or a lack of resources. The process had already been underway. The public had been told to expect results. What followed was a tightly controlled narrative shaped by insiders who had once claimed to be working against those very forces. What matters now is not just what was kept from view, but who kept it there. The same figures who positioned themselves as opponents of corruption chose to look the other way. They shifted focus, sidestepped accountability, and leaned on silence instead of truth. Kash Patel was in a position to make the evidence public. He knew the expectations. He had the authority. He passed. Patel remains in office, holding the title of FBI Director. But the role no longer carries the weight it once did, not among those who once believed in him. His name now circulates alongside redacted findings, missing reports, and stalled investigations. He has posted online to defend his choices, aligning himself with the same team that continues to face criticism for sidestepping responsibility. His answers are thin. The frustration around him is growing. Voices that once promoted his work have gone quiet or turned critical. Allies are backing away. Congressional pressure is building. What was once support has turned into suspicion. The question isn't whether Patel changed sides. It's whether he ever planned to act in the first place. This case was a test, not just for institutions, but for the people who promised to hold them accountable. Kash Patel stood in front of the public and made promises. Transparency, justice, answers. When the opportunity came, he turned in the other direction. The damage isn't just political, it's personal. For victims who were ignored, for supporters who were misled, and for anyone who believed the system could be challenged from within. We were told the truth was coming. What we got were binders, delays, and a tightly managed press cycle. And that raises the real questions. What's in those 100,000 documents? Why were certain names flagged? Why has the case disappeared from public view? And why did Kash Patel stop looking for answers the moment those answers got too close? Some will say he was silenced. Others believe he was never serious. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want to keep this conversation going, like, subscribe, and share this video. Because they locked the files away, but we're not done asking.